Hello, hello, my labial love bumps. Welcome back to the lounge. Today I've got Susan Bratton, intimacy expert to millions, who is a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. Susan is co-founder and CEO of two companies, a best-selling author and publisher of 44 books and programs. She also frequently appears on ABC, CBS, and NBC, as well as being the number one downloaded episode guest on myriad podcasts. So she's kind of a big deal, guys. And we've done a previous episode together about a year or so ago, all about how to have the best sex of your life well into old age for the rest of your life. And it was a really, really popular episode. So feel free to go back and listen to that one too, folks. But welcome, Susan.
Hello, Freya. How is my beautiful friend?
I'm excited to be chatting again.
Yeah, me too. We had such a vibe on our first episode together, didn't we? I got off that recording with you and I was like, I love her. I mean, first I was excited because I wanted to sit in the labia lounge chair and sit on the plump little puffy pillows of our labias. And I love that. And then we just really had a good time together. We covered a lot of genital pleasure territory.
We
So, I mean,
did.
you had me at labia, and then you show up as this adorable, brilliant creature, and I'm just in love. What can I say? So, yes, I've been looking forward. And you didn't feel well last week, and so we had to reschedule. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sad. I miss my Freya." But now here we are, and I'm so happy.
Here we are.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, ego well and truly boosted. You heard it here
good.
first, folks. Um, so I've got a bit of a plan for this episode. We
Great.
didn't get around to talking that much about like sex tech and all of the crazy, interesting, new kind of like modern technologies and interventions that you've been experimenting with. And so I want to chat about that. Something that I want to pre-frame at the beginning of this episode is that firstly, I want to give everyone like a foundational understanding of female arousal processes and the fundamentals before we dive into some of the sex tech and the biohacking methods that you've experimented with in order to enhance pleasure and orgasm in your own body. And the reason for that is like I feel like I want to give that foundational understanding of pleasure, arousal, our bodies and our natural sort of systems and patterns, because I generally, like personally, and this is why this will be a cool conversation. And my listeners will know I'm a bit of a Luddite. I tend to sort of be skeptical and a bit fearful of like, new technologies and how they're going to impact things. But I generally don't like, personally or professionally recommend or point people in the direction of these sort of like sex tech biohacking interventions because, yeah, I mean, often they're just prohibitively expensive or they're invasive or they can actually just be ineffective and bit snake oily, like different ones. And I'm not
Yeah.
across which ones are good and which ones aren't and things like
Mm,
that. I tend to sort of feel like a lot of the time they can be a bit of a band-aid solution or a quick fix that doesn't address, a more nuanced and complex set of underlying issues. And I hate how our disconnect from our bodies,
yeah.
our shame, numbness, pain, our insecurities about our bodies and sex is often weaponized against us to make money. And so I generally steer clear of what I call vaginal consumerism that sells us solutions to problems that were created because of the fucked up capitalistic patriarchal world that we live in. And
Totally.
yes, this is a bit of a rant. But I am, however, fascinated by all the things on offer these days. And, I'm nowhere near as informed and up to date as you.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd take this
It's my jam.
opportunity. Yeah,
Hmm.
I want to pick your brains about it all,
Good.
because there's some fucking cool shit
Yeah.
happening and that's on offer that
Hmm.
I want to be more across and less resistant to.
Good.
And yeah, but I just wanted to put that caveat that this like sex tech, sex med, sex toy, um, stuff has become a massive money making industry. And a lot of what's out there is snake oil or it's unnecessary or it's simply avoiding and bypassing actually working on the challenge in a more sustainable and holistic way.
Hmm.
So often we're sold all these new like toys and treatments, and we think if we just get that new vibrator with all the bells and whistles, or if we just get this invasive, medical procedure that's meant to enhance pleasure, or you know, rejuvenate our vagina or whatever, all of our sexual prayers will be answered. We'll suddenly be able to come when we've struggled for years. We'll suddenly magically feel confident and worthy and attractive and connected to our bodies and erotic energy. And I just feel like rarely is that the actual answer, or at least not the whole answer. And it
Hmm.
doesn't take into account that we're far more complex than that. And it's actually like our brains and our nervous systems that play the biggest role in arousal and pleasure.
Hmm.
So that is my rant. This is why, we're going to give you a rundown on how your body actually works when it comes to arousal and pleasure before we then get stuck into some of the different advances in technology that are being explored and that Susan is like super ahead of the game on. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. And I mirror you with my stink eye toward the capitalistic male patriarchal perspective around our vaginal health. So I'm totally with you in that. I was thinking as we talked about it, tell me if this structure sounds good to you. You and I like to share structured thinking, and so that we're leading people through in a really easy way. And I think the approach that we might want to take is let me talk about just female genital arousal in the current way that I'm educating women, so that they can also educate their male bodied partners and their
Yeah.
other female partners, their other gender spectrum partners, so that we can all kind of get on the same page about what Yoni wants. Because I like to give her whatever she wants. Let's just give her what she wants. She's in charge. She's down there. So let's listen to what she has to say and give her what she wants and make her super happy. So she fuels our purpose, our creativity, our passion, our confidence, our body connection, etc., as well as our orgasmic pleasure. And then once we talk more about my current thinking about genital anatomy, everything that I tell you about how to keep your genitals healthy for your entire life so that you can have sex that keeps getting better and better as you age. I'd mentioned before we started, and your eyes lit up, which is one of the things that I love about you. I told you that I'm in my elder slut era. And you're like, yes, mommy, yes. And I want to just unpack that a little bit because I think it's very germane to this conversation. And then I want to give you what I call my sexual vitality or sexual biohacking or regenerative stack for
Mm,
our yonis. So, and what I don't recommend because it falls into the sus category of, just patriarchal advantage taking of our insecurities, which they've created
mm.
for us to manipulate us and hold us back. So, Freya's like big head nodding over here. Like we're like two peas in a pod in our value systems and our approach to the world, which is so lovely. We're very kindred spirits, which is really precious to me. So I want to go with elder slut era, then move to the genital anatomy, pleasure, and arousal, and then what happens how it works, and what happens when it breaks, when it's not working well, and then what
Mm,
you do to essentially remediate it. And I take the approach of almost like a functional doctor or a naturopathic doctor. I like to get to the root cause of things. So
mm,
nothing that I'll tell you is a band aid solution. Everything is, let's get to the root. What is underneath that? Why is it being caused like that? What's happening? And functionally, that's almost always in sleep, exercise, food, just general
mm,
health kind of
mm,
things that impact vulvovaginal integrity and pleasure potential. And the elder slut era piece is a part I want to just throw down right away because I chose those words very particularly. I'm 64 years old and I am by far the most turned on, I have the juiciest yoni. It is massively orgasmic. it continues to become even more orgasmic and pleasurable. My sexual confidence has never been higher. My body image issues are almost nil. Now, when I see pictures of myself, I look at myself and I think how pretty I am, how beautiful my yoni looks, how great my ass looks, how nice my boobs look. And I look like a 64-year-old, and it's beautiful. And I'm going to look beautiful in my 70s and my 80s, as are you, as are we all, because we're beautiful. We're beautiful. And so, you know how when you can get into your 30s and 40s and you can look at a picture of yourself in your 20s and go, why was I even thinking I wasn't pretty? This is, if you can move through this, you can end up actually aging and loving exactly how you are in the age that you are without any body image issues. And I think when we're talking about vulvovaginal connection, we can't really expand our orgasmic capacity, increase our pleasure potential, our sexual self confidence, and improve our vaginal and vulval health if we don't love our parts. And so I really think that's a big part of it. So my elder slut era is, I'm in my 60s. I plan to have sex till the day I die. I'd like to live to 100. I'm a longevity biohacker, so I do good things to take care of myself while also enjoying my life. I had ice cream for lunch yesterday. We're checking out of our Emerald Bay Airbnb, and there's some macadamia nut brittle Haagen-Dazs in
Ooh.
there, and I'm not leaving it. So that's what I ate, and I don't care. So I'm not this perfect person. I'm a pleasure seeking, and that comes from health. My pleasure is health generated, but health can
Mm.
sometimes be macadamia nut brittle ice cream. The elder part of me, and what I like about elder, is that elder signifies to me wisdom. I feel that there are two real benefits for me in being in my 60s right now. One of them is how much knowledge I've amassed
Mm.
in the last 60 years, how smart I am, how on fire my brain is, how I'm connecting dots in new ways. And by the way, using AI really helps me do that because I'm feeding in my thinking. I'm not having AI
Mm.
do things thinking for me. I'm using it as a sounding board to further my own ways and skills in providing content and knowledge for the people who love to get that from me. And so I love the wisdom part of being an elder, and that includes the wisdom of my sexual mastery. My
Mm.
like straight up, I can have a brand new lover and we will have incredible sex together from the get go because I understand implicit and explicit training of my lovers. I understand my rules and boundaries. I know how to request my desires. I go with the flow of my body's desires and needs in the moment. So I've learned all of these things. So I have sexual mastery in addition to life mastery. They are two sides of the same coin. You get better in bed as you age if you keep learning new skills.
Mm.
The slut is the same as taking back pussy. It's the reclamation, of the word, right? That's what, oh my God, I'm forgetting. Mama
Regina.
Gina. Yeah, Gina's book. And so slut is really just the taking back of that word that I like having a sexual appetite. I'm currently involved with my husband of 35 years, my boyfriend of nearly 5 years. And I recently sat them down at the breakfast table, fed them a hearty meal, and told them I'd met someone I wanted to have some experiences with who'd been kind of out of the market for quite a few months and was willing to test in and be fluid bonded to me. And I wanted to have some experiences with him. And I didn't ask their permission. I asked for their like encouragement. And of course, they said yes and encouraged me. And I really like that when, some person comes through your life that you have a body connection, a values connection, a mental connection, you like who they are, you want to have experiences with them, that you can navigate that through safe STI testing. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the chief advocacy officer of an STI testing company that makes at-home STI testing kits. So
Oh,
literally when I met this guy, I was like, here's a kit, send it in. You'll get your results in 12 to, 24 to 48 hours from them receiving it. And then we'll be good to go. And,
oh,
it's just so nice. That's kind of one of the outcomes of the COVID pandemic. They're called Pro DX Health for your
awesome.
US listeners. It's a US product only now, but it's going to grow. It's going to go around the world. You'll have it soon enough. And you guys have good health care compared to the United States of disaster. So, um, you know, we're not even going to go there. So, the slut is a safe slut who knows what she wants and has boundaries and can navigate her needs and asks and create incredible pleasure. And my era is that I've moved into this arc where I've got energy, interest, and time in being with more than just my two main partners. And I love that for myself. That's a symbol of my health and my energy. You need mitochondrial function to want to have sex with people. Your libido
Mm,
is the other side of the same coin of your health. If you're not healthy, your libido is suppressed. If your hormones are imbalanced, if you've got sleep issues, if you've got stress at work, if you're not eating a good diet, if you're not moving your body, or if you have any kind of health issue, these impact your libido. So many women, we run around with body image issues and guilt over our desire response and our arousal
mm,
response, thinking there's something wrong with us when there's not a darn thing wrong with us. We're just totally perfect and natural the way we are. So I think the elder slut era just kind of tunes you into who I am, which is I want to be the model. And thank you for the opportunity for having me back on your show. I really want to be a model in our world of a really confident woman who loves and fosters and nurtures and fuels and feeds her sexuality for the for her entire life and stand for what that looks like. And I have a
mm,
new word for you that I think you're going to really think is cool as well. And that is, this is my new favorite word. I've been using the word sovereign for a while, like that thing where you're really owning your body's safety and your desires and your needs and all that stuff. But sovereign always felt to me like the queen ruling above the kingdom. It also felt like I was in rowing a boat alone. Had a
mm.
little alone sense to it, a little
Yeah.
soupçon of aloneness. And so I like the word agentic. And the reason I like the word agentic is that we now have agentic AI. And we're going to talk about sex tech. And I am very bullish, very positive on sex tech and recommend it and show people how to use it and why it's going to be beneficial for getting you all the way into your elder slut era. And I, by the way, just because I'm in a consensually non-monogamous relationship construct doesn't mean I recommend that for your listeners. That's just my personal life. I mean, would you really want to take sex advice from a woman who had sex with one guy for 34 years? Like I wouldn't. So a part of what I do is research. I have, my new lover is a research partner. I'm learning so
Mm,
much from the experience of training him as my lover and asking for what I want. So that's something I want to imbue in this conversation as well when we talk about our arousal and then how our genitals operate, the systematic operation of our genitals, and when it goes wrong, how to fix it. So like kind of the, like it's like the mechanics of almost,
mm,
our pleasure. And agentic for me is agentic AI is AI that learns as it does things. And that's what we are. We're agentic.
mm,
We learn as we do, as we exist, as we have experiences. Every experience we ever have, which is why it's nice to have lovers, adds to what we know and what we want and gives us new ideas. Our lovers have incredible ideas that we'd never think of, ones that are often a little edgy for us that call us toward our potential and get us to step in to a safe space to experience something. So I like that. And I like that it also means you have agency over yourself. And
Mm.
that's what I really want women to move into, is agency over themselves. You know, in many podcasts I talk about how I navigate my sexuality with regard to the kind of patriarchal paradigms around expectations that were there to fuck. You know,
Mm.
like, what was it, a bang maid, Elle Chase, I follow her on Thread, she's lovely. And I don't know if she coined the term, but I loved it, the bang maid. Like, we're their maids, there for when they want to dump their load in us and keep their house clean and birth their children and give up our career and have no money. And like, that shit's over and done. Put a pin in that bullshit. We need to have agency over our finances, our life, our independence, our pussy, everything. I know Freya's like, preach it, sister, right? I mean, this is how we're so aligned. Like, that's just our values match so much in that way. So I really like the term agentic, and I think that's something that I wanted to just tell you about and give to your listeners today as well. So the elder slut, the agentic elder slut, I'm kind of building this little lexicon of words that we can use to shortcut our conversations with each other.
I'm obsessed. I love that. I fucking love
Good.
that. Can't wait
Yeah,
to be an
good.
elder slut. And agentic, I hadn't even heard that word. That's so
Hmm.
good. And it feels more nuanced and practical and applicable than sovereign, like
And
it
it
actually
feels
feels.
timely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And on
Good.
that note, like, shall we
Yeah.
dive into some
Yeah.
stuff around women's
Let's do it.
arousal?
Yeah.
How it's not a constant
Hmm.
state, and that can be an advantage, not a flaw.
Yeah.
Maybe responsive versus spontaneous. I've talked
Yeah.
about this stuff on the
Yeah.
podcast
Everybody knows
before,
that one.
but
That's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, for those for
Hmm.
those that don't know, let's give a bit of a rundown on
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff you find yourself teaching about genital response and female arousal.
Yeah. Good. So I like to have women imagine a penis and how it goes from flaccid to erect. It's a
Hmm.
pretty magnificent process.
Yeah.
And it takes our male bodied partners a couple of minutes to do that. Usually, if they see our boobs, it happens. And good for them. They've got a lot of testosterone. They've got these three tissue chambers, these three erectile spongy tissue chambers in their penis that when they get turned on, they pretty quickly get an erection. There's tubes are very straight, and the blood rushes into the
Mm.
penis, and it locks the blood into the penis when you have a nice firm penis. And that same amount of erectile tissue in that erect penis is in our vulvovaginal system in three tissue chambers. So it's the same. It's the clitoral structure, which by now we've all seen a picture on the internet of the clit glands, the head of the clit, the shaft of the clit, the little arms, the vestibular bulbs, the legs, if you will, the little punching bags, and the clitoral body. And we know that our clit is more than just the tip that sticks out that we see, that most of it is buried treasure. So women are generally familiar with that idea. And then there's the urethral sponge, which is our second tube. And it really is a tube. It's actually very similar to the corpus spongiosum that wraps around the urethra and comes down through the penis. So that's the spongy tissue surrounding the urethral canal. And it is uh, it swells with erectile function, and we have that exact same tube. And people call it a G spot, but it's not a spot. It happens to be quite accessible inside the vagina, curving your fingers up to the roof, because that's where your urethra is, comes out, uh, below your clitoris and above the opening to your vagina, which is called your introital sphincter. That sphincter is a round muscle like the iris in your eye or your asshole. And that is another round muscle. The urethral canal has the end of it has a round muscle. The vagina has a round muscle. Both of them do. And the anus does. And they actually, when you squeeze them, they all squeeze shut.
Mm.
So when you're staunching your pee from coming out or holding it back, you're kind of you're holding them all tight. And that tube is the second tube, and it's the same one. So we women and our male body partners both ejaculate and urinate out of that tube, and it's surrounded by sponge, and it gets real plumped up. And then the third tissue mass, the third tube, if you will, is actually more like a spongy little brain. It looks like a plumpy little brain. And that's on the lower, between the bottom of our vagina and our rectum. And it swells with pleasure. But all of the tissue, so the vagina itself, if you think about it, the vagina is more like a pocket. And there's, when you have a pocket and there's nothing in it, it's flat. But when you put a hand in it, or a toy in it, or a penis in it, or a baby comes out of it, it opens, it stretches, and it balloons, it tenses when you get aroused. And the vaginal mucosal lining is what gets really thin as we age. And it gets thin because of loss of things like collagen and estrogen. So when it gets thin, it's not a gland. The vagina is not a gland. It doesn't make its own lubrication. The lubrication comes from blood flow. And I'm about to tie this whole thing together for you, because the blood flow into our pelvic bowl when we begin to get aroused, what that does is it fills up those three tissue chambers. So your clit shaft gets hard, your G spot or urethral sponge starts to swell, the outer labia start to swell, the inner labia swell and darken. Your whole yoni darkens because it's getting, you know, perfused with blood. So it's getting all this oxygenation in this blood. It's getting plump. And with inside the vaginal pocket, the vaginal mucosal lining doesn't swell, but the blood plasma flows in there and it seeps through and it wets the lining of the vaginal mucosa. But if you're low in estrogen, that is thin instead of thick, and so it doesn't hold as much lubrication. So that also makes it difficult. So the point that I want to make is that you literally have a giant boner of your own, but it takes about 20 minutes and it has to begin in relaxation 90% of the time. There are moments when you have this new relationship energy and you're super turned on for somebody where you can get instantly aroused, but that's just a small percentage of the time. When you're with a partner frequently, you need to feel relaxed, get in your body, and then let your arousal climb. And you need about 20 to 30 minutes for the blood flow that shoots right down those tubes of his dick and gives him a hard on in minutes to actually slowly seep into all the nooks and crannies of these little erectile tissue sponges buried all throughout the vulvovaginal system.
And it can take a lot longer if you're struggling to get into the parasympathetic nervous system and you're overthinking or you're stressed or there's cortisol or adrenaline in your system. That
Mhm.
20 to 30 minutes can really balloon out when we're not able to be fully relaxed.
Exactly. And one of the reasons that you want to have this time to let that blood flow in and to plump those pillows up is that when they're plumped, they have more surface area. And so when you touch them, you're activating all of the different components of your nervous system's communication to your brain, which is your biggest sex organ. Your brain isn't your biggest sex organ because it wants to hear dirty talk or something like that. It likes that. That's additive. But what it's doing is it's taking the input from the Pacinian corpuscles and the Ruffini nerve endings and the mechanoreceptors. And like mechanoreceptors, when you play with the sphincter of the vagina or the anus and you stroke it lightly and slowly, one of the things that it likes is it likes a little pressure, and it likes to feel a penis or a toy going in and opening and stretching it because of those mechanoreceptors. So when a guy just like plunges right into you and starts pumping away, you miss that entire opportunity for that beautiful moment of penetration. When guys ask me what's the number one technique I need to know, and I tell them to slow down, they still go 1 million miles an hour too fast. They are just too fast for us. We have to be able to stay in and maintain connection to our sensation to really get the level of arousal that feels as good to us as it does the minute they get hard and you start touching their cock. So mechanoreceptors, the corpuscles, the nerve endings, there's heat sensors, right? Cold sensors. There's all these cool things in there. And they need a chance to go up the nervous system and send the information to the brain to process as even more pleasure. So, without the time to become engorged, we've been having rushed penetration with a flaccid yoni that is not pleasurable. And when people say, I have no libido, I just don't want to have sex anymore, I say, well, it's probably, unless there's a health issue, it's likely just because you've just only ever had shitty sex. It's shitty sex. It's not you, girl. It's
Yeah.
not you. It's shitty sex because what do we have in our culture? Everything we see is repressive, religiously repressive, white male, patriarchal, through the male lens. Everything we see. It's scare tactics, it's slut shaming, it's not knowing the names for our genitals, it's, you know, everything. And we don't even know we're swimming in that sea of oppression. We think there's something wrong with us because we don't have this, you know, we're not like turned on and coming when they plunge into us in 2 seconds kind of thing. So these are very, very important conversations to be having. And one of the reasons why I love you and your show so much is that you get deep into all of this. And that's why we're not spontaneous except when we have, you know, a new hot piece of ass. And by the way, one of the things I like about having a new lover is it makes me want my other lovers even more often and with more vigor because I'm just generally more turned on by all that new relationship energy of the new partner.
Totally.
So NRE is, you know, harnessable anytime, you know, which I really like. Again,
Oh,
not condoning consensual non-monogamy for those of you who prefer heterosexual experiences or any kind of experience. You do you, boo. I love you for you. I'm just Susan Bratton doing my crazy life here, being an iconoclast, agentic, you know, slut era girl.
oh, I'm dying. I just love this for you. Yeah, and agree with everything you said. Like all of this sort of anatomy of arousal stuff is like a major component of what I teach with clients in my online courses, you know, because I feel like it's so fucking important to
Yeah.
understand that we are often feeling, you know, broken or like we're malfunctioning or like we're something's wrong with us
Mm-hmm.
because we're trying to function in like a patriarchal system with male as default as the blueprint that we're
Mm-hmm.
measuring ourselves to.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's really great to highlight the different needs and ways that female bodies operate and where we actually do require a different approach to a male body.
Yeah.
I'm curious about like the role of oxytocin
Yeah.
in, you know, connection, performance, because we sort of spoke a little bit about like physical anatomy, but then like hormones and brain chemistry is obviously such a major part of this as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I'd like to answer that, there's two things. One, I want to close off with one thing, and then I want to answer the oxytocin question. Um, the the way I want to fold off with what we just talked about is that underpinning everything I said about all of the anatomy, all of the plumpness, the engorgement, the spongy tissue is blood flow.
Mm.
And by the time we are in our 50s, we have half the nitric oxide production we had in our 20s. And nitric oxide production is what makes our blood. We don't have enough blood to be everywhere in our body all at once. And so what happens is our vascular system uses a smooth muscle, endothelial muscle, and it squeezes the blood where it needs to go for whatever we're doing. So right now I've got a lot of blood in my brain because I'm actively thinking. But if I'm working out, it's where, you know, it's in my heart, it's in my glutes or my quads or what have you. And when I'm making love and I begin to move into this arousal ladder, into this process of arousal and give myself time to become aroused, which is why I love yoni massages.
Mm.
because they let us as women's relax, get out of our head, get into our body, get hands on genitals, plump up all that tissue, start to connect our heart with our partner, get things off our chest that we need to process, and just really drop in and connect. And so I think Yoni, I don't really start any of my love making without some yoni massage. I just really need that.
Mm.
It helps a lot. And blood flow is what gets it all plumped up. So if we can't get the blood into our pelvic bowl because we've got loss of nitric oxide, that's kind of the first, that's ground floor, that's functional vaginal rejuvenation. If you have a loss of a loss of tissue from loss of estrogen and loss of collagen and loss of blood flow perfusing it. If you have thinning tissue, sensitive tissue, vaginal dysbiosis, your microbiome is out of whack. Vaginal estrogen is a big help, but so are things like oleic acid from cocoa butter. I really like those. I really like cocoa butter inserts for the vagina because the good microbiome wants to, the good bacteria, the lactobacillus bacterias, they like red light and oleic acid and estrogen. The estrogen produces glycogen. The red light helps generate more glycogen, and that's what the bacteria, that's the sugar that the bacteria uses to stay alive. So these are kind of like how you feed your vagina and how you take care of it. And the red light therapy is one of those devices that I really like. It's called the vagina device. I believe it is available here in Australia. It's at vaginadevice.com. It's from a company called Joylux. They're a woman owned business. They're FDA classified for incontinence, reversal of incontinence, but it also, they don't have the clinical studies for it because it's hard for women to get funding and it's hard for women to get funding for intimate wellness products. So
Mm.
what happens is the red light therapy, the photobiomodulation, it generates mitochondrial function and it gets the cells creating more vaginal mucosal lining. So it thickens it
Mm.
so you can hold more lubrication. It also uses warmth and some vibration, which is essentially like Kegel toning your musculature, but it's more almost like a relaxation and collagenation of the musculature as well as the vaginal lining. So I really like that as an at home vaginal rejuvenation device. But there's something that, if I like that, but here's where we're at this weird fork in the road where, okay, great. I'm repairing my vaginal lining and improving, maybe reversing early stage incontinence and I'm, doing all these things. But what about my labia? I'm literally on the labia lounge right here. I mean, my labia, my clitoral shaft, my clitoral tip, my vestibule, my inner labia, my mons. I mean, all that stuff for me is as important as the vaginal cavern itself. And the light doesn't do much for that because it just goes inside you.
Mm.
So, what I recommend is I'm a spokesperson for two brands. The other brand I'm the spokesperson for, because I went to them and said, I want to tell everyone about what you do. You need to keep me up to speed on everything. So, I totally understand it. Train me, educate me so I can tell people about this because this is what I do. And that is, I use this technology called acoustic wave. I go in for treatments. The company is called Gains Wave, GAINSWAVE. And essentially, it can be used for like tissue healing, wound recovery, things like that. Like orthopedic accidents, joint pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, all that kind of stuff, hematomas, all kinds of things. But it can also be used on the genital systems. And Gainswave has protocols to use acoustic wave treatments, series of treatments on the genitals, male and female, because they are just spongy tissue. Now we know that. And what it does is it stimulates new growth in all the tissue in the entire vulvovaginal system, not just red light inside the vagina for, improving the vaginal mucosal lining. It actually makes more tissue volume. I don't know if you've been reading about this. I bet you have, Freya. Have you been reading about Ozempic vulva and Ozempic dick?
No.
Okay, so this is a thing where when women lose a whole bunch of weight, and this is so fucked up. So when women take Ozempic and or any kind of these GLP-1s, Wegovy, et cetera, tirzepatide, all the stuff, and they're getting weight loss, which is fantastic. I'm super happy for them. I've got no negatives around any of that. I think they're brilliant. But when you have rapid weight loss, then you have kind of like hanging skin and you lose the fat pads around the labial tissue. And then it just looks like kind of like balls, like scrotum, it just like
Right.
doesn't look good. You're losing all that tissue, right? For men, those fuckers, they lose their big fat bellies and their fat pads, and all of a sudden their dick looks bigger, right? Oh my God. We're like, the only thing I can tell you is I come even better than any man I've ever met. So there are just rewards in the vagina, in the labia, in the yoni. So the what happens as you age is all that tissue atrophies and it shrinks, and then you just kind of
Mm.
get this sagginess, you get loss of sensation, you get loss of engorgement ability, loss of lubrication. And what Gainswave does is it makes that come back because it generates tissue growth that then the capillaries grow into the new tissue. Like if you've ever had a scar and it's kind of white, and then you kind of break it down and you crunch it up, and your capillaries can grow back in, and then your nerves grow in behind it. You regain
Mm.
the sensation you lost when you had the tissue damage. It's basically a similar function. And so
Oh.
you're getting sensation back, you're getting plumpness back, you're getting engorgement back, you're getting your function back. So you're reversing the atrophy of aging. And that is a really great part of the stack. And then, of course, I always like to talk, when I talk about sexual biohacking and sexual regenerative therapies, I really like to talk about budget, intermediate, and luxury. So, budget is take a nitric oxide booster. My Flow nitric oxide supplement, you can buy it on Amazon here in Australia. You can get up to 3 bottles through your customs with no problem. It's a food derived from organic fruit and vegetables, citrulline based supplement that gets your blood flowing again. It tops up your nitric oxide systems. Eat your leafy greens and your beetroot because it has nitrates in it that turn into nitrites that turn into nitric oxide. Don't use antibacterial mouthwash. It kills that process. Don't eat a shitty diet and have to take acid blockers. Fix your diet. Don't take proton pump inhibitors and all these things. You need high acid to make nitric oxide, not low. So this is your functional stuff. Top up your nitric oxide systems with supplementation and food and changing some bad habits. That's budget. That anybody can do. The intermediate would be like the VFit. The luxury would be like the Gainswave. So we're talking about like a $200 device. Maybe it's three for you. I don't know. And then we're talking about Gainswave being about $1,500 for 6 treatments. Totally worth it if you've got atrophy. And if your husband can't get a hard on, take him in too. It'll reverse that.
And
Vulva
so with the
pulse. Yep. Mm-hmm.
gains wave, you have to go in for the treatment,
Yeah.
and would you say like a
6.
6 that like then you're good for a while? Do you have
It
to get top
depends on
ups
the
like
atrophy. It depends on where you are. If you've got diabetes or
mm,
things like that, like it just really it's your health levels, your age,
mm,
your how are your hormones? Are you able to build new tissue? Do you heal well?
mhm,
It doesn't hurt. You get 6. It's a treatment of 6, and then you can use. I have a promo code for you. Promo code Better will get you a 7th treatment free, which is nice because they are valuable. And then you wait, and you come to full effect within about 6 months. The tissue all regrows back, and then that
oh,
lasts, but you're going to keep atrophying. So maybe in a year or 2 years or 3 years, you'd have to go in for some more, but it's going
mhm,
to keep that. And it just depends on how fast you atrophy or all your other health,
mm,
multi-factor situation. But I go in, I'm going to say every 5 years or so and have it done.
mhm, mhm,
So that's what seems to work for me, but I'm pretty darn healthy, as you know, good energy,
mm,
et cetera, et cetera.
mm, mm,
So, and then the kind of the luxury. above that is PRP, platelet rich plasma, PRF, platelet rich fibrin, or stem cells and exosomes, injections into the clitoral and urethral structures. They really facilitate new tissue growth and accelerate new tissue growth. I personally like the stem cell stuff the best, exosomes and stem cells, over PRP, because PRP has to kind of act like an inflammatory wound to get your body to come repair it. I like the thing that doesn't even get you to have an inflammatory cascade. It just immediately starts building new tissue. So this is the future of sexual regenerative therapy, is this. And then the last thing on that list are vulva and penis pumps. And they're not really the last thing. They are really right down there in the budget category.
Mm.
If you have a male-bodied partner and he uses a vacuum erection device, once a week, or if he's trying to reverse atrophy a couple times a week, I have a pumping guide for you. It's at pumpingguide.com. And you can learn about penis pumps and vulva pumps there. Vulva pumps are good for filling back up all that external tissue. And there are also clitoral pumps that will bring blood flow into the clitoral structure. Use the same hand pump with different cylinders on your vulva, and it perfuses the tissue and allows new tissue to grow and allows new capillaries and nerves to grow in. So if you're having sensation loss, struggling to achieve orgasm, a clit and a vulva pump can be fantastic. The red light's not going to do anything for that. The Gainswave will, but you might not have access to that. So lady pumps and penis pumps are fantastic, inexpensive, and it is the coolest thing to sit. Let me know if you want me to have one sent to you. You should
Yeah.
definitely pump up your vulva. Okay, good. Email me your address. I'll have one sent to you. Pump up your vulva and look at your pussy lips after you do it. And there's no pressure guideline for the vulva because the vulvas are very unique. You pump never to pain, only pump a little, hold the pressure. If you want a little more, pump a little more, pump about a 10-minute pump and then release, massage. You could do it again if you want to for a second round of pumping. And you can see that your pussy lips will get really nice. And then if you get a yoni massage, it will feel incredible because you've got all that engorgement. You've got like extra engorgement. And if you pump your clit over time, your clit gets bigger. So one of the things that I'm really into is clitoral enlargement. So what I like is to have a nice big clit boner. So I'm often too busy to do clit pumping, but you can do it and it looks so cool when you see your clit pop up into that little tube and you're like, oh yeah, that's my big clit energy right there. I've got a fucking dick in my pants. And you just feel so good about yourself because you're like, damn, I'm going to start slapping that thing around. Boom, boom, boom. And I use testosterone. I use three things. I use for hormones. And then now I'm going to close off on oxytocin. I use three things. I've started when I was like 45, I started on progesterone. Very quickly, within a couple of years, added estrogen replacement to top up my estrogen. And then when I was about in my late 50s, I started adding testosterone. And I put the testosterone on my skin as well as directly on my clit and labia. It really helps keep them meaty and keeps them turned on and helps with your libido. And then I put the estrogen where my urethral exit is and my vaginal entrance around there. And then I just take the progesterone orally. I also use an estrogen patch for systemic estrogen. I use a little patch and a little bit of oral estrogen. So I'm taking estrogen three ways
Wow.
because I still haven't stopped menstruating. And I'm not recommending this for your listeners. I am a under multiple doctors' care sexual biohacker. This is what I do. And I'm studying ovarian aging, and it's really interesting. Dr. Amy Killen, have you ever had her on her show, on your show? I
No.
can introduce you. She's super great. Amy just did a Substack on a new study that just came out about women who have more frequent intimate pleasure go through, and they called it sex, so of course everyone thinks intercourse, but whatever.
Hmm.
I can't fix every problem in the world. You know, like, what's the difference if you finger fuck me or you stick your dick in me and I come? It doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
intimacy, it's pleasure, it's whatever you like. And the more you, not the more, not like total frequency, but like the longer you are having regular intimacy, like about once a week or so, the the longer it takes you to go into menopause. You push off menopause. And what I like about about pushing off menopause is that when you're fertile, your ovaries are functioning. And the work, and she'd be a good one for you too, Dr. Jennifer Garrison of the Buck Institute. She's doing um, ovarian longevity research. And the longer our ovaries continue to function, they're not actually just a reproductive thing. They're a master longevity signaling system. So in my mind, what I want to do is keep menstruating so that I have good ovarian function. The system's working, everything's doing its thing, chugging along, which is, and I'm having regular sex every, these are all men's studies. I can't fix everything, but for every decade you go having intimate pleasure, partnered or solo pleasure, orgasmic intimacy and ecstasy, every decade adds 2 years onto your life, roughly. So extending your sex span, we're right back to the elder slut era. Extending your sex span, see how it all works together? Extends your health span and your happiness span. You're
Mm.
not some grumpy old grandma. Now you're a hot granny having hot sex with good ovary function and lots of longevity and tons of orgasms that are producing massive amounts of oxytocin. You are having hormone cascades, neurotransmitter improved function. You're generating natural killer cells that eat cancerous and senescent cells up, get rid of zombie cells. You're improving your immune function. You're rebooting your nervous system. You're having vascular perfusion of the brain, oxygenation, improving cognitive function. Like, I could keep going for hours about the benefits of good, regular, orgasmic, co creative pleasure. And
And can
even
that
if you don't
apply
have
to
a
solo
partner,
play? Yeah, okay.
solo pleasure too.
Yeah.
Give yourself orgasms, which is now our perfect transition into the other thing you wanted to talk to me about, which is sex tech.
Can we also just go back to the fact that you're still menstruating? Like,
Yes,
what? Is this because of all of the
the
like
estrogen.
interventions and
The estrogen
okay.
and progesterone has regulated my system. And so I have enough estrogen to keep on going. You go into menopause because your estrogen starts to drop.
Yeah, and people usually take the hormone replacement after they've already hit menopause, whereas you got onto it
Yeah,
early.
I did.
Ah, wow.
For
Holy
my
shit.
daughter, I recommend to her 38. Start on estrogen and progesterone at 38.
Shit, well, I'm not far off that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so yeah, like sex tech, you kind of explained a few of the things that you do at the
Yeah,
various levels of accessibility and price points.
yeah.
What are some other things?
Well,
And also, like,
that was regenerative and biohacking, not sex tech.
oh,
So, what I want to talk
true.
about now is how to expand your orgasmic capacity using orgasmic cross training, leveraging sex tech.
Yeah, and I really want to cover the things that you wouldn't recommend too, because I know there's some
Right.
like stuff that's not that
Thank you.
safe or not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
effective, and even just stuff like when you were talking about the vulva pumps and things, and made me think of a couple of horror stories I've heard where these like suction clitoris sex toys have like sucked too hard and like
mm,
prolapsed somebody's clit and like
mm,
burst their clit and done some real damage. And I'm just I'm sort of concerned about how blasé some of these companies are, and we're just sort of using these things assuming that they're going to be safe.
mhm.
um yeah, so I mean, start wherever you want to start. Go
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, good. Um, the things I wouldn't recommend, and then we'll move into sex tech. The things I wouldn't recommend are vaginal laser and RF device rejuvenation. And the reason that I wouldn't is that basically I feel like that's a patriarchal thing. where the only thing we care about is your vagina, so we can just keep dumping our load into you with our shitty sex, versus let's fix the entire vulvovaginal system so you get incredible pleasure and you have really functional engorgement. I've had both of those procedures on more than one occasion before I found Gainswave, and I was so dissatisfied with them. The RF device gave me a horrible herpes outbreak, so it was so damaging. Have you heard the word hormesis?
I feel like I've heard it, but I don't know what it means off the top of my
What it
head.
means is damage it to make it grow back better. It's kind of
Oh,
like
yep.
building back better by damaging it. And that's what
Yep.
PRP and PRF do as well. They introduce inflammation that
Mm-hmm.
gets tissue regeneration. And it's
Mm.
okay, but I don't love it. I don't like the hormesis oriented things. I like the
Mm.
things that don't hurt me to make me better. And
Yeah.
the men who run those laser companies with all their laser medical devices that they're putting on our skin to get rid of our age spots and all the
Mm-hmm.
the all all those things.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we could make one that's in the shape of a dildo and stick it in a vagina and sell that to ladies too. And it's
Oh.
like, I don't recommend it. They wound, and they're like, it's outpatient. You can do it on your lunch break. Yeah, you can do it to me on my lunch break, but then my vagina is going to be burned and weeping for weeks, recovering
Oh.
from it.
Oh my
So I
God.
do not like them. I do not recommend them. They are only a part of a solution, and I don't want to be damaged to be healed if I don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. So that's the thing I'd stay away from. And I also do not know anything about yoni steaming. I have no opinion on it. I don't know why, but I have zero interest in it. So I just have other things I want to put my attention on, like sex tech, and that's what I do. So I maybe you do, but I don't know anything about it. Doesn't seem like anything that it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that really get around yoni steaming. I've tried it a few times. I don't really see what all the hype is cracked up to be about. Like, I like the witchiness of, using natural herbs and things like that. It's quite a
Yeah.
gentle practice, but I don't think it's going to be making like a fucking massive life-changing difference. I know some people have said that it's been like enormous in their healing from, certain cervical dysplasia or
Yeah.
period like menstrual cramps and dysbiosis or whatever,
Sure.
but personally I haven't really explored it too much, and there's no studies around it. So
I'd rather
okay,
smoke a
so
joint and get a yoni massage.
totally,
Totally. And really, I'd rather smoke a
definitely.
vape that's not the crappy vapes, but like a natural,
Yeah.
like flower vape.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
doesn't burn, so I don't take smoke into
yeah,
my lungs. That's what
yeah.
I'd rather do. I'd rather use a
Well,
flower vape and get a pussy massage.
Well, I want to like level that up for you when you're talking about cocoa butter. I make like a
Mm.
lube out of cacao butter and a few other things really good for like vaginal atrophy and
Nice.
things like that. And I was
Wonderful.
actually making THC and CBD oil that I was putting in the lube at one point, and it's
Oh,
very
you are
illegal
my
here,
girl. You
definitely.
are my girl.
Yeah, I wish I could get that off the ground and sort of make it legally and
It's the
distribute it,
alcohol
but
companies and pharma companies suppressing cannabis. That's what it is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I love topical THC pain cream, and I love in America, we can get the Foria products and the nude
Mm,
pleasure products, and I love them both. One of the things I love is the pleasure protocol. It's at pleasureprotocol.com. I always give the links for people because they're like, where are you? It's the melts that
mm,
are cocoa butter melts with jojoba oil and some CBD in them. You insert it
mm.
into the vagina, it melts up in there. You can
Dude,
make
I've been
these
making that shit for like 10 years. I just
totally.
wish I'd gotten it onto shelves earlier because all of these things have now become more mainstream and they're
Are
available.
they
I'm like,
here?
fuck.
Are they here in Australia? Can you get
You can get,
CBD?
oh, I think so. I think so. I mean, at least all the pussy pearls and the melts and these sorts of things. Like, yeah.
Okay, where do I go to
Uh,
get these?
I don't know. Because I make it all myself,
Mm-hmm.
I never buy it, and I
Mm-hmm.
make it for friends and sell it to clients. And yeah, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really up with that side of things in Australia. I think we can also just order stuff online from the States nowadays with CBD, but I'm
Can you?
not across it. Like, don't quote me. I
Yeah.
all of my friends seem to be able to get hold of it. I don't know.
Okay,
Um,
that's good to know because I love the CBD based melts. I love the
mm,
arousal oil. the
Mm,
Awaken Arousal Oil, and I love their sex oil with the MCT in it. And
mm,
all of that as a system is a really nice system. I love it.
mm,
So,
mm.
but I would like to buy some of your products. So when the show's over,
Yeah.
let's figure out how I can do that, and you can send them to me while I'm here because I would love to try your
Oh
products.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Can do.
Super.
All
What's the
right.
name of your website where people place their orders for you? For you?
So it's currently just at my website freyagraph.com. It's in my shop,
Okay,
but the like skincare label name is Drop the Soap, and the lube is called Motion Lotion.
great. Okay, good. I'm going to place an order.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, cool. Sex tech. Give me the
Yes.
rundown.
Yeah.
What is the yay? What's the nay? What are some things that you use?
Yeah.
And I love the tiered kind of like this is the most accessible bargain stuff versus this is like luxury.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, people need that because not everybody has a lot of money. So
Yeah.
I was less and less these days. I was so my daughter's 28. I'm here in Emerald Beach. She goes to Southern Cross Uni. She's a scientist, PhD scientist, and she has a really nice community of people here in Coff, Sandy Beach, and that will be, all around local area. And they came over and we had a party and they wanted to sit with me and they just wanted to have an AMA and ask me anything. And I
Yeah.
had so much fun with them. And one of the things that surprised me was that a number of the women said, yeah, I gave up my vibrator because I was worried that it might ruin my ability to have orgasms with partnered sex. And I was like, oh my God, this is literally a talking point from the religious right. Just trying, like, because they know how good it feels, and you're going to come really well, and then your husband's going to be like, you can't use that with me. What, you don't think I'm good enough, and he's going to be all up in his blah blah about like his ego and all that stuff, and then he's going to shame you, and you're not going to want to use it, and like this is literally what happens. And there's so many scare tactics around women and pleasure. It's just nutso. So let's set the record straight around that. There are many types of sex toys. There's approximately 8 categories of toys. There are junky brands that are mass produced in different parts of the world that use plasticizers and phthalates and crappy motors, and they're junk, and they could give you pain and operate inefficiently, and you could hurt yourself. But there's hardly any of those left anymore. And there's really good brands out there. Whether you're talking about some of my favorite brands, which are Hot Octopus with 2 S's, um, Kiru, um, Mystery Vibe for people who have vulvodynia, vaginismus, loss of lubrication, painful sex, erectile dysfunction. They make very good, like, urologist and gynecologist types of products.
Mm.
Um, those companies make such good products. And and I've got everything, I've got I always keep all my current favorites at drivedesire.com, and always try my promo code to see if you get a discount. It's my name, Susan, Susan. The ones that I'm currently using that I like the best, and I have been masturbating more lately than I have masturbated maybe in my whole life. And I like this combination of these two sex toys. One is called the Pearl 3, and it is a dildo shaped, curve shaped wand that has extra stimulation for the G spot, and the whole wand vibrates, and I love to put it up inside my vagina and slowly turn it up over time and stimulate my vagina, activate the tissue, increase my lubrication, give my pussy something to chew on, like with the orgasmic contractions that I'm having, because then I use their other product called the Pro Wand, on the outside. So I get my mons, my outer labia, my inner labia, my clit shaft, my clitoral tip, my vestibule, my perineum, all engorged. And what's really cool is they have an app called Feel Connect, and you can sync the devices together so that they are slowly increasing in tempo and vibration and intensity as you're stimulating the tissue. Most women generally, they'll take a vibrator, they'll slap it on high, put it on their clit, and basically have a like an achoo kind of a sneezy little orgasm. That's not getting you to get all the engorgement, to get into the moment of climax and stay in the moment of climax and have these extended orgasms, and then to build sensation and turn the extended orgasm into an expanded orgasm and just keep coming and coming and coming. This is what you train your vulva to do when you're working with, I mean, these toys are like $110. They are generally affordable for most people, and they are super premium motors. Their motors go all the way up and down, like they are beautifully designed. They're a Dutch company, and when you sync them, you can have an internal external incredible experience. I like clitoral stimulators, the air stimulators, the clit suckers too. Womanizer is the best, I think, brand for that. And one of the yoni massage tools that I like is their Enhance product, which is both a yoni massage wand with an air stimulator integrated into it. My other favorite yoni massage toy, and these are the ones you give to your partner, and you're like, give me a yoni massage, rub my pussy with Freya's lube, and then take out the pulse queen and take out the Enhance. And some days I want one, some days I want the other, some days I want both. Give your guy some tools to use so he gets really good at using his hands, or your partner, and whoever they are, and really just enjoy having him learn how to fluff you up and get your lady boner going. And so those are some of the toys that I really love right now that work very well. And it's really fun to go to drivedesire.com and to click on them all and look at them all and be like, okay, Susan Bratton's convinced me I need to have more masturbation and partnered toy play. And I'm going to start with a couple of these things that look good, and I'm going to start using them to masturbate. I'm going to start using them when we make love. Sometimes I'll use yoni massagers to start. I also like the Luxus. It's part of Kiru's line. It's a clitoral massager that you can wear with a harness or a little silicone pad. It sticks on your mons, and it has this little, like almost like a little beak that sticks down on your clitoral shaft and on the tip, and it leaves your vagina open for intercourse. You can wear it while you're having intercourse, hands free. And there's a little penis ring that goes on your partner, and it's basically just a magnetic proximity sensor, so that as he's fucking you, as he's stroking in and out and up inside you on your G spot and down on the floor and all around your cervix and on the left and the right sides of your vagina to get the pudendal nerves activated and make your toes curl. And he's doing all this great stuff with his dick in your pussy. Every time he's stroking you, it's making, and you said this when we started the show, Freya, this is why we're such sisters. You talked about the parasympathetic nervous system. It's toggling your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system to amp up the intensity of your orgasms, so you're coming the whole time he's fucking you. It's incredible. It's like beyond category sex toy. All at Drive Desire. Don't worry about it. They're all there. You don't have to worry about it right now. But it is one of my very favorite partnered toys. And when he sees you coming and coming and coming while he's fucking you better than he ever fucked you, he's like, oh, well, maybe I should let her use these too. Let her fuck you. You're going to do it. Just do it. You know, it's not, he doesn't let you do anything. You tell him what you want. He will be happy you come well. This is the way we go now, agentic sluts. Here we go.
Agentic sluts. Oh my God. Well, here's something that I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on. So, and this is a bit of devil's advocate and also just a bit of like
Do it.
through anecdotal evidence,
Yeah.
throughout my time at least, working in this field. Something that concerns me a little bit is this like sort of sex consumerism that makes us feel like we need these toys, and what tends to happen because people love a quick fix and they love a bit of retail therapy, and they love to have a shortcut, is that they start using vibrators, for instance, usually like clitoral kind of stimulating tools, as a way to bypass all of the gorgeous sort of parasympathetic arousal cascade that does require more time and relaxation. And they just jump straight to like clitoral stimulation, like intense, super fucking intense straight away. Like they don't take the time to sort of ease into it slowly, like you've described. They have a quick sneeze. And because they masturbate every single time in the same way, using a vibrator straight on the clit, ignoring the rest of the vulva and the nipples and the anus and the body, and just not really whining and dining their body, they're creating this sort of pathway to orgasm, or this pleasure pathway that becomes so deeply furrowed because they're only masturbating in that same way each time. And their body almost becomes habituated to that level of intense vibration, and becomes like reliant on that. And so then what I've noticed anecdotally is clients will come to me and be like, I used to be able to orgasm so massively and powerfully, and it was quite easy for me to orgasm with a partner or just with my hands or through penetration. But since I've been using a vibrator to just clitorally for like a few years, I've noticed that I need more and more intense settings on the vibrator. I need more and more time to reach a certain level of pleasure or orgasm. And now I can't come with a partner, or I can't come without the vibrator. It's like they've become dependent on it. And I know that, there's so much contention around whether vibrators actually numb your clitoris or, create, thickening or numbing of the nerve endings. And I think, like, to your point of like, there are some cheap, shitty tools that have crappy motors or that are maybe too intense or aren't titrated
Mm-hmm.
enough. I think there is a risk of like desensitizing ourselves through like way too intense stimulation on such a sensitive, delicate area. And like, what I worry about is, one, that sort of habituation or dependency on a level of intensity that's not really able to be achieved without some sort of battery powered toy.
Yeah.
Um, and that can feel a bit disempowering to not be able to come without it and to always have to bring the toys into the room. Not that there's anything wrong with partnered play with toys, but to feel as though you need it can be a bit disempowering for people. That's what I'm hearing. And then the other thing is, like, I feel as though we're outsourcing our pleasure too much, and it's such a thing that we do, is like, oh, let's not learn how to actually connect with our own bodies and learn our arousal processes and learn how to build engorgement and arousal and relaxation. Let's just quickly grab the nearest bit of technology that's going to bypass that, so I don't have to bother, and I don't even have to touch my own vulva with my own fingers. I can just use a toy. And I know that's not everyone's approach, but it's really common that people are revulsed. They are squeamish about touching their own vulva. They never want to put anything inside, so they kind of train their bodies to only respond to external stimulation as opposed to involving the whole vulva and vagina. And I feel like it's kind of a disempowering, disconnecting pattern that can happen now that we've got access to all these toys. I think it's like a sometimes food that is great to use to enhance things, but I don't want people to use it as the one-stop shop and not actually develop a connection with their own body, you know?
Yeah. Totally agree. That's why so I think that using all these different types of stimulation, the oscillation, the vibration, this air stimulation, the G spot pleasuring, the anal pleasuring, the whole mons and outer labia pleasuring, focusing on clitoral erection, not just on the tip of the clitoris. going low and slow and building up to more fortitude on the motors, all of those things. When I described my recommendation, I was talking about um, internal and external
Yeah.
simultaneous, pleasuring. Those types of things really help. So you and I are both in agreement that when you just drop a fast vibe or a clit sucker on and you just get off, you're doing yourself a disservice. But I do think that using all these different tools, low and slow build rather than just, sneezy cum straight to the clit, it it expands your all of the erectile sponges learn to fill and empty more easily. You get turned on more easily with partners when you have a good pleasure tool masturbatory life. It helps you come with penises, fingers, tongues better. So it's your approach to the tools,
Mm,
not the
totally.
tools. And should you be able to use your fingers to get yourself off? Yes, do that too. And get good oral sex from your partner. And give yourself throat gasms going down on cocks. And learn how to orgasmic cross train so you can have orgasmic intercourse. My greatest orgasmic intercourse techniques are all at orgasmicintercourse.com, where you learn how to have your partner use their penis or their strap on and stimulate your vagina the way it wants to be stimulated, not what we see in porn, which is for the male gaze and a jerk off video. So that's important too. So what you're doing is you're learning how to use toys to cross train and expand your pleasure. You're learning how to do oral, you're learning kissing, full body massage, getting yoni massages, intercourse techniques, having anal gasms, having core gasms, having foot gasms, having breast gasms, having nipple gasms, using you're what you're doing to get to your elder slut era. You gotta increment your knowledge in all these places. So there are people who don't even know that sex gets better with age or that they can learn
Mm,
all these techniques because we're in the only uncensored medium there is for straight talk about pleasure.
yeah.
And God knows what's going to happen with podcasts because there's right wing media is buying up everything right now.
Whew.
So we're lucky we have these conversations going right now. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But this is all good news. So now you have a roadmap to your elder slut era. And incorporating toys is a really fun part of sex dates when you don't think about sex as he's going to grab my boob and stick it in and he's going to come and I hope I do. You think about sex dates as we're going to have a makeout. He's going to hold me. He's going to hug me. He's going to rub my feet if they hurt or my shoulders if they hurt. I'm going to tell him what's going on with me or her, them. I'm going to open my heart. I'm going to drop in. I'm going to get out of my head. I'm going to get into my body. I'm going to have yoni massage. I'm going to stroke his cock. We're going to make out. He's going to play with my boobs. I'm going to get turned on. We're going to have oral. We're going to have intercourse. Maybe I want to have a nice big juicy gasm at the end with my wand while he plays with my titties and tells me how hot I was having sex with him. Like you can just do sometimes we're doing the luxus and we're having intercourse that way. Sometimes we're trying the feline grind. Sometimes we're trying the heart tongue technique. Sometimes we're trying her thrust in time technique. Like you've got so many things you can learn and try that toys are just a part of it, but they're a very good part of activating your vulvovaginal erectile tissue system so you come better with partners too.
Yeah, and it is all about diversifying your pleasure
Yeah,
avenues. Like I love
exactly.
that. I think like the trap that people fall into is just doing the same thing every single time and not diversifying, not training their bodies
They
to
just don't know what to
create
do.
these new neural
They
pathways
just
to
aren't
pleasure.
listening to
And
your show.
I know,
You need to
I
listen to your
know.
show, friend.
Amazing. So many good like resources and suggestions. And I love that you kind of talk about it as orgasmic cross training. Like that's
Mhm.
such a great way to look at,
Yeah.
yeah, trying to diversify the ways that we're training our body because it's all
Mhm.
practice. And the more we do it, the more easy it becomes to access pleasure and the more kind of like used to engorging, filling and emptying and everything, as you mentioned, that our erectile tissue becomes. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, unfortunately for those that do want the quick fix or the sort of efficient solution, this stuff is not, yeah, it's not for you, I guess. Some people do just like you're a nerd about sex, I'm a nerd about sex. We're a bit happier to spend a bit more time and money and energy exploring. Some people, that's not the case. But I think, even if you don't have to do all of these things, even if you just take on board some of this and try a couple of different things every few months or whatever, it's still going to be enriching, and
Mhm.
enhancing the intimacy that you're having. Is there anything you want to like sort of mention to kind of tie a bow on this? I know we didn't even talk about oxytocin in the end, but there
Oh,
was
I
just
forgot.
so much to, I know, me too.
Oh,
But is there anything you
I
want to
want to
leave
say
people with?
something about oxytocin. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
great.
leave with oxytocin.
Cool.
And then at the end, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to connect the dots of everything I've said for all of us by just talking about the things that were the kind of like the big picture highlights for people from this conversation. It'd be really great to hear it through your filter. So, oxytocin is generated more by women than men. It's skin to skin contact, it's bonding with your baby, it's nipple stimulation, it's all kinds of things. But if you've taken antibiotics, your gut is what makes the oxytocin. It's a adrenal gut axis production structure, and if you've killed off the lactobacillus reuteri, that is the key bacteria that is required in your gut to produce oxytocin, you're probably not producing much. You can take intranasal, intravaginal oxytocin with a prescription, but you can also just start making more of your own by taking Lactobacillus reuteri. What I do is I get it from Oxyceutics, Oxyceutics. Um, what I do is I take 8 capsules and I make my own yogurt at home. And they have on their website um, essentially just like instructions of how to make your own yogurt at home. So I don't buy manufactured yogurt in plastic containers, except if I'm traveling. I like to make it myself out of a glass container at home. It works really well. And when you eat a bunch of that yogurt over time, like in your smoothies or your breakfast bowls or what have you, and you can use it in your cooking. You can make salad dressings with it. It's an unflavored. You can add flavor if you want to, honey, jams, savories, whatever you like. It will reestablish those colonies, and so you'll start producing oxytocin, and that will make you feel more love. It will make you be less annoyed with people. It will just generally improve your life and make you feel more awe for art and beauty and nature and science and the incredible life that we have as a gift of being on this planet. So it's a very, very nice thing to get both partner generated, but also just make sure you can make oxytocin because it's the kind of antidote to cortisol. Not a
Mm.
technical science explanation. That's just an analogy. People get so up in their britches about like when I talk about penis pumping being like pumping your muscles up, and they're like, "There's no muscles in the penis." I'm like, "It's a fucking analogy, asshole." Like they just
Oh.
drive me crazy with that stuff. It's like, okay, well, why don't you think of some way to say it? Why don't you study all the data? Like if I go too sciencey, nobody understands. So can we just use an analogy?
It's a
It's
love
so funny.
muscle.
It's a love muscle, just like your heart. Exactly. So funny. So, yeah, I really like to have lots of oxytocin. Very, very healthy for you. And it's really systemically excellent for your body and your health in general. So, you may be low. And so, maybe trying some of the lactobacillus reuteri and then culturing it and getting it back in your gut again will make a big difference in the happiness you have in the world. I often wonder if a lot of the people who feel flat and depressed
Yeah.
simply have lost a lot of the good biome that
Oh,
is required to
definitely.
be happy.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, most of your serotonin's made in the gut and
exactly.
yeah, it would make a
Yeah.
lot of sense to me, honestly.
Uh,
the gut being, you know, the second brain. And yeah,
Yeah,
love Lactobacillus reuteri. I mean, it's so good for your vag as well. Like
it
I
is.
didn't
And
know.
Lactobacillus crispatus. They make
Yeah.
crispatus as well, and I love that for the vag. You can make yogurt out of that.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know the connection with reuteri to oxytocin. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I make my own yogurt. I'm definitely gonna fucking get some of those capsules
See,
and
this
use
is why you're my girl.
that.
Literally, this is why you're my girl, because you make your own yogurt too. I mean, my God, it's like, well, our grandmothers used to put yogurt in their vaginas when they had vaginal dysbiosis.
Yep, I've done that.
Yeah, and you can only do that with a homemade. You can't do that with the store bought. There's not enough bacteria in there to do anything.
Yeah, oh my God. This is so funny. I love this chat. It's so
Well,
interesting to me
we
and
started out with elder sluts and ended up with colonizing floral units.
making your own yogurt and putting it in
Yeah,
your pussy.
exactly.
Um, so good. All right. Well, I mean, my like wrap up of
Yeah,
this is like high level. I feel like we did exactly what I wanted to do, which is talk about the sort of fundamental, foundational, like back to basics, arousal anatomy,
yeah,
and how basically like erectile tissue and blood flow is like massive
yeah.
for pleasure, and how nitric oxide has a huge part to play in that, how we can kind of supplement that to boost our, you know, circulation, blood flow, therefore erectile engorgement, therefore pleasure and orgasm. And then, yeah, going into like all the sort of biohacking stuff and then the sex tech, which yeah, it's these are areas that I have for a long time felt like I probably need to do more research around because it's moving so fast as well. You know, my
Hmm.
knowledge 10 years ago when I got into this field, very different, almost obsolete now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more awareness around how our bodies work and our sort of unique needs as well with like female arousal anatomy. And so I feel like it makes sense that therefore the technology and the methods now are reflecting that more nuanced understanding. And so perhaps I don't need to be quite so resistant to it.
Fran
Um,
needs a vibrator.
I mean, I've got sex toys and stuff. I just use them. I think I just do what you've basically said. I use them. I diversify. I'm not doing the same thing every single time. I'm not becoming
Hmm.
reliant on any one tool or toy. I use it as like cherry on top or like icing on the cake, you know? And I
Hmm.
think what I wanted to do with this episode is like, which we have, is highlight the importance of being really body literate and
Hmm.
connected to your body and your eros, learning to become a master of playing the instrument that is your body and your sexual energy. And then, you know, using all of these other like tools and toys and strategies to optimize and enhance. I don't think we need to like rescue our, you know, or not rescue, but fix. I don't think we need to fix things by relying too heavily on technology. I think it's a more holistic approach that I lean into. And what I love about how you speak about it all, it's like so holistic. It's like, first we're talking about gut health. Now we're talking about blood flow. Now we're
Hmm.
talking about fucking, you know,
Hmm.
hormones and
Hmm. Ovaries.
menstruation and ovaries. And, you
Hmm.
know, now it's like, cool, what are the technologies and biohacking methods that we can use to, you know, so I think it can get a bit overwhelming because there's so much out there. And I think that's part of my resistance is like, fuck, where do I even start? And so, yeah, you're definitely going to be like a resource and a mentor in this space because, yeah, it does take a lot of like time and sometimes money and capacity to explore this stuff and really get into the nitty gritty. And so
Hmm.
I'm grateful that there's someone like you that is doing that on our behalf and giving us the Sparks notes.
Yay, I love that. Thank you for that good wrap up. It's nice to hear everything that I've said through the Freya filter. I love you so much. Thank you for having me as always. You're in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, Melbourne.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to Melbourne on this trip, but next time I come back, I'm putting Melbourne on my list so we can finally get
Do
together in person.
it.
I will.
Yes. And then you can sit on the actual labia lounge. I do have a pussy couch that I built for
Hmm.
festivals.
Hmm.
And it's rare that I get to actually have a guest in person on the couch,
Good.
but we can make that
I'm
happen.
coming. I'm coming to the labia
Cool.
lounge. Good.
All right,
All
my
right.
love.
I
Well,
love
thank
you
you
so
so much for
much.
your time. I'll put all of the links to your stuff in the show
Yeah.
notes and yeah, awesome chat.
Yeah, you too. Love you lots.